It's deprogrammed. My name is Justin, and I am a host of sorts. Caught in this crazy snowstorm that didn't happen at all, at least not here in Yorktown. Today we're going to be talking about White Zombie, but first I got to get the sell out of the way. Patreon.com/OhHiJustin. $1 American a month gets you everything that happens here at Oh Hi Justin Enterprises. That includes this program, Deprogrammed, 3 full days before the rest of the world. You get the Oh Hi Justin pod, which, if you act now, that's the Patreon is going to be the only place that it goes. Also, the WrestlePals pod comes there. New project with me and Jenny coming out. These Ghouls demos, all that and more. All that and whatever else comes to my stupid brain. But the important thing is we're here to talk about White Zombie today. And joining us, the man of many, many names, to include hats, but here he is known as Andy. Andy, joining us again to talk White Zombie.
Yes, it is good to be here.
How you doing, man?
Good. It's wet down here on my side of the water, but, better than snow, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you survive the snowstorm?
Yes, so far.
Making his triumphant return, and to this point, still the only panel member in the history of Deprogrammed that's ever been requested. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tim Anderson.
Hey, this is the sound of my voice.
This is the first time on the reboot that you've been back too.
Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been able. I wanted to come in for Blondie, which I'm going to admit right up. I think I'd been more qualified for than this, but I've taken a new position at the university, and I'm just overwhelmed. So nobody needs to know why that's overwhelming me, but it's just the truth.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, it happens, man. But I'm so happy that that you can be here to talk White Zombie with us, and of course, there's going to be many more bands in the future for you to jump in on, sir.
And I have a feeling that Andy is probably, I don't know, he might be the best qualified person to do this. So I feel like I'm the least qualified, and we have the best qualified person, so it's kind of good.
Well, what's funny is with White Zombie, I mean, I thought I knew more than I did. Getting into the discography here, like I was pretty much unfamiliar with everything before Sexorcisto. I guess I thought there was more that made it to the mainstream that I would be familiar with, but no, man, like none of it. Even most of Sexorcisto didn't really, like I wasn't familiar with. It was kind of different. But is he right? Is Tim right? Andy, are you a huge White Zombie fan, or was this just kind of you saw them on the list and wanted to jump in?
I mean, I am a fan of White Zombie. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan or the most, qualified. I mean, granted, I am, running back through the catalog. I'm one of the resident headbangers, metalheads, if you will. So, I guess that puts me a cut above.
Well, and I'll say, like, I actually thought I knew more, but a lot that I knew was Rob Zombie.
Yeah, same here.
Right.
Yep.
So it felt like 10 to maybe 25% of my knowledge was disqualified.
Yeah, I mean, again, there was songs that I was listening to, and I'm like, huh, and just, well, where's this one? And then you look it up, and it's like, oh, that's Rob. Oh, oops. But there will be a show down the line. As of right now, it's the same panel members for Rob Zombie and his solo stuff. So this being kind of like a relatively new walkthrough for all of us, how did you find the discography, Andy?
It was interesting because, we had talked about it a bit in the pre-show chats that, it kind of starts out slower than we would have expected. Mm-hmm. Being, partly because we didn't know about all that early material, and just kind of like when we think of White Zombie and Rob Zombie, we think of that big, huge production and the larger-than-life sound and presentation. And the early records, like, you don't quite have that, and in a different way than what we had with Hole, where it was a raw garage sound. Like this was kind of that on the early records, but it's more like I heard the songs and I'm like, I would go see that band live because they sound like a lot of fun, and I would just enjoy the show. But like, they didn't grab me as much. It was hard to pick out songs from those early ones, compared to the later records.
Absolutely. Like, I think you just hit it right on the head. Like, that's the thing I was thinking of the whole time. I was like, I don't want to say it feels empty, but it was hard when you put it up against the later work. It was hard to like go, yeah, this definitely is enough to go up there with that later stuff. How about you, Tim?
Well, I agree, and it's funny because I was in college when those White Zombie records were coming out, the early ones, and he sort of got lumped into, or that band got lumped into like a Sonic, somewhere between Sonic Youth and Butthole Surfers,
right?
And I never found them as interesting as either of those. And I'll never forget. And this is the truth. I'll never forget this. I was listening to Howard Stern in '95, and More Human Than Human came on. They were playing it, and Stern was really into it. And I was like, "This is White Zombie." Like, they transformed into this really hook-driven metal, metal act, which they weren't early on. They were more like a part of that New York art scene, and you can actually hear. I listened to all those early records, and I could hear the connections that that I'd sort of forgotten with not only the Sonic Youth and Glenn Branca, but also the Ramones. Not so much the style, but the focus matter. Particularly some of the songs like Gun Crazy, where they're obsessed with old movies, or there's the obsession with obviously with horror. But it's one of those things where like I still don't particularly like the earlier stuff, but and I feel like I feel vindicated.
Yeah, well, and I think that seems to be the common thread. All three of us kind of feel the same way. I didn't pull a lot I pulled stuff because I think you kind of have to kind of show the growth of the band. But like I don't know. As I was going back through, I'm just like, but this is not up to snuff when you compare it to where they ended up.
Well, it's his voice. It's one of the things that's very clear is he, Rob Zombie finds his voice at a lower register.
Mm-hmm. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Once he gets there, you're like, oh, he feels comfortable. And I don't know how that decision was made. I'd be interesting to read up on it because he's screaming, the earlier ones where he's playing it, we're singing at a higher register, and he just does not sound comfortable at all.
And I don't know if part of that for me was like listening in hindsight, obviously being familiar with the Thunder Kiss and More Human, and being familiar with Rob's voice, and then like hearing that early stuff and just being turned off to that. But I mean, the biggest thing was, and Andy touched on this earlier, the production. Like once you hit Sexorcisto and those drums come in the first time, you're like, oh, whoa! I don't want to say it's night and day, but it's like it's a different band. Like it's a completely different feel for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm curious to see where we're how it's going to be, because I've already alluded. I don't have a lot from the first 3 albums. Most of my stuff comes from the back 2. Andy, talk to me about putting your 20 together.
It was tough because it was, like I said, listening to the early stuff, it's kind of like, this nothing grabbed me of like, what do I put in from the early stuff? Nothing was bad by any means, but it was just kind of like what stands out, and that was the tricky part, so it was like, well, I guess I'll kind of listen to the record and go through them, and then when I get to the stuff that I know I want in there, and I kind of figured, well, I'll play to the crowd, if you will, or whatever, play whatever game the game is, and go with the more well-known tracks, and then see where I need to fill in gaps from there. And when I was going through, because I was pretty light the first time around, I was like, well, let me listen back to some of the remixes and see if there's something that just kind of works in that way. And I think I got a couple from like the remixes or whatever on the Sexy Singles, whatever that was,
Swinger Sounds,
that record. Because it's kind of it's a different spin on the songs, where it's kind of different enough that I think it counts. Plus, it's also like it's a thing that Rob does. There's a lot of history with him doing remixes and collaborating that way.
Yeah.
Between White Zombie and Rob Zombie. So, I mean, that's something that should be accounted for, I guess.
All right, and Tim, walk me through your 20 selection of 20.
Well, I mean, it's sort of the same thing. I started with, I started with the obvious ones because I was like, well, I don't know if I can start talking about what I chose, but I basically, it was like Sixer Sisto, Astro Creep, and then, let's see what we can find.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, there were some things in here that I was like, oh yeah, like I chose a couple covers, which I typically never choose in these types of situations. But I think they're like, if I was trying to convince like an old school metal guy or an old hard rocker to get into them, I'd say, well, here's the entry point, and you may or may not like it.
It's going to be an interesting discussion. I'm looking forward to seeing where we're going to bounce off of each other here. So with that being said, the name of the game is Deprogrammed. The three of us have sat down on our own and pulled out 20 songs each for us to bounce off of each other, and we're going to try to come up with a collective top 10 starter kit for White Zombie for you. We've done all the hard work. All you have to do is push play when it's done, and preferably listen to our discussion about said band. Now, a couple things have changed since the last time you were here, Tim. We now do have a new trash protocol in case I don't think it'll come into play in this situation. But if for some reason between our unanimous decisions and decisions that only have two of us on them, or if we don't have 10 between the two of those, then we each get to pick two songs out of the trash bin. One being out of our own swings and misses, and one being out of other panel members, like something that you're close on. And
so now we need to pay attention to each other. Is that what you're saying?
And then yep. And then we have from there it'll be 6 that will, depending on how many we need out of that. Also, I'll tell you this right out the front because it involves one of our favorite men, Alfredo Torres.
Alfredo, yeah.
So every year he and I do the best of the year. We did the best of 2016, best of 2017, and of course we'll be doing the best of 2018 early next year. Now this year when we did the best of 2017, I selected. I don't even know how many bands it was, but I selected all the songs. I think it came out to exactly 20. I selected all the songs, and it was one song from each band that we covered in 2017. And I gave him the list, and he immediately bitched about every single song I selected.
So it's good.
I was like, okay. Oh,
no, is this the best of the year, like new stuff?
Well, it was just the best of the bands that we discussed. So it would be one song from each band that we discussed that year. So this year I started doing the same thing, and then after that episode, I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to take that out of my hands, and I'm going to put it in the hands of the panels. So at the end of the episode, when we have our 10, we'll each vote on which one is the number one with a bullet, and that'll be White Zombie's, the song that gets into the best of 2018 list. Or conversation.
So what you're saying is maybe we could game it so that we piss them off.
Maybe. It might be hard with White Zombie though. I'm surprised he didn't jump in on this. To be honest.
Well, yeah.
Maybe it was
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Too busy or something. Yeah, maybe it's just so busy with everything. I mean, I saw him just earlier this week. We went up to Richmond. Well, he lives up there, but we're at the National for Generation X, and he was just talking about how whirlwind the next few days after that were and everything else. So, maybe just kind of knew it wasn't in the cards, if you will.
That being said, see, I can't play the Andy way. Like I have it set up. I was going to play like from the beginning, but you know what? I'm going to get this one out there because it was at this point in my listening, I was like, okay, there they are. There they are. Welcome to Planet, motherfucker.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on my list.
I don't think it made mine.
All right, well, it hit two of us.
Two.
Yeah, it hit two of us, so
That's
it's there
two.
for the conversation.
That's good.
But like, that's I'm pretty sure track 1 on Sexorcisto, and so like the drums come in, and it's like, okay, that's what I was expecting this whole time, and from that point on, I was having a really great time listening to the band.
Well, one of the things that's weird about those records is they become these. It's something that I actually don't like in a lot of cases. The sort of like the skits or the clips before the songs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's a very '90s thing. It
Absolutely.
seems like.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right.
And it kind of drives me nuts. But like, I think that's partially I started going, oh yeah, I don't want to hear a skit.
Just get to the music.
To the song.
Just get to the song, please. All right, Andy.
All right. Let's see. At the top of my list was Magdalene.
Oh. Nope, I don't have it.
Not on mine.
Nope.
Okay.
All right, Tim.
Well, it's not the top, but it's the first one I chose, and that was Knuckle Duster.
Oh, I don't think that one made it. No.
No.
That one was on my first round.
Okay. All right.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me find it. Yeah, I think I just saw it over here on this side.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of Sexorcisto first, because that's where I started.
Okay. So I'll leave it. I'll just try to... Okay. Let me stay on that album then, because I feel like I have half of it. Spider Baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so me and Andy are in close proximity here. All right, Andy?
All right. The next one on my list is Drowning the Colossus.
Oh, dude. That was actually one of the few hard cuts from like the earlier stuff.
Yeah, I almost
top
chose
87
that.
songs.
Yes.
They go. The
I
Chevelle
almost chose that.
episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that one towards the top of the trash, though. I feel like we might be pulling that one out if we need it.
Yeah, that or Knuckle Duster, maybe, but you know.
Yeah. All right, Tim?
Soul Crusher.
Oh, nope.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, weird. I thought I had it, but I guess not.
All right. All right. I'm staring at it, and this was the other one I was considering for number 1, Thunderkiss 65.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, I wanted to not, for obvious reasons. But, I mean, it's iconic. That's them. That's what they sound like.
Yeah.
Can't not have that. All right, Andy?
All right. So next on my list is Disaster Blaster.
Yeah, I got that.
I don't know why I don't have it, but I don't have it.
Disaster Blaster.
Oh, no, I take it back. I do.
Oh.
I do.
Oh.
I take it back.
Hey,
That's
all right.
three. There we go.
There's another unanimous. Okay, so and for those keeping score at home, I forgot to put this out there. Disaster Blaster was one of the ones put out there by listeners because we.
Yeah.
And then so was
Cool.
Thunderkiss 65. So the last two unanimous decisions were also brought to us by listeners. You understand, if you will. All right, Tim.
Okay, so I have Grindhouse a Go-Go.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. So now it's mine. I'm going to go ahead and go with Shack of Hate.
No?
No.
Yeah,
I wanted to put that one on there just because of the name, but it just didn't work for me.
it was a lot of that early stuff. Like, it was the name that drew me in, and I was like, well, I mean, it's just enough to stay.
Yeah.
All right, Andy?
Yeah. Acid Flesh.
Ooh. That was definitely...
No.
No, it was definitely one of an early or a late cut rather. All right, Tim.
Starface.
No, I think I was just
Okay.
looking at the
Yes.
one.
Okay.
Where?
Ooh. Starface got some. All right.
Starface.
Yeah, so it's
There it is.
day in it. Yeah.
All right. How about Godslayer?
Ooh, let's see.
No.
I have it. Yes, I do.
Hey, all right.
That was one of the older ones.
Yep. It's one of the older ones that like kind of felt like it was kind of in between. Like it was, yeah. All right, Andy.
All right. So we said Thunder Kiss. So then the next big obvious one would be Black Sunshine.
I actually don't have that one. I don't think.
I don't have it either.
No.
What?
I know.
Not so obvious.
All right. That's it. I'm out. This episode's over. Come on.
That is one of the ones
You know.
I feel bad about not having it because number one, it definitely made my first cut, but number two, it is one of the ones that got brought to us by listeners. So
Yeah. We might have to put it in the top of the trash bin.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got
I
it
guess
up.
we need to resurrect it.
I got it up near the top. Up near the top.
Yeah.
All right, Tim.
More human than human.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
on my list.
Yep. Again, you want to ignore it, but it's just it's what
can't.
it's what they do.
It's a huge,
That was-
huge. I mean, that's just a huge hook, though. It's hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just delete it. You guys know me with the hits, especially like the really
Yeah.
big ones, and it's just like, yeah, I don't want to do that, but come on, man, like, especially when you're off to that not so great start, you kind of need these ones.
Andy, what were you going to say?
Yeah. That was like for sure my first White Zombie song I can remember hearing was More Human Than Human, and kind of like, I know spinning that, that whole record was something that happened a lot, in that, when it came out, like Astro Creep was everybody's CD player's pretty heavy rotation, so I mean, you got to start with that one. That's how we started,
Yep.
for most of us. So that's how somebody else should obviously start.
All right, so who put More Human out there?
Me.
All right, so
Yeah, all three of us did. Come on, we all
Yeah,
collectively did.
yeah, technically. All right, so it's my turn.
Huh?
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and start busting into some Astro Creep now too. How about Supercharger Heaven?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Hey, there we go. Again, that one was one of the few from the listeners got more than one mention. So we're right on par with the listeners here. So just an update: we have 4 unanimously in and 4 in the conversation.
Oh wait, I thought we had
Big-
Thunder Kiss, Disaster Blaster. Oh, I guess that is 4. Duh.
So we got 4 and 4. All right, Andy.
All right. So then next, so we did Starface, and then my next one's going to be Electric Head Part 1, The Agony.
Oh my God!
It's the full title.
When I say that was number 21,
Yeah.
which I will change if Tim has it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay. Well, then I don't feel so bad about having it be number 21 now. All right, Tim.
All right, so this is another obvious one, but I still love it. I'm Your Boogeyman.
Oh, I don't have it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
It's from the Crow soundtrack.
No,
Oh, yeah. That's,
I
you know what?
completely forgot about that
Ah.
song until you said it.
Yeah,
I was
because
like,
that soundtrack's so great. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wish I would have remembered to spin that one.
Well, that was in a way kind of a suggestion from Spotify. I'm going down there and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, but like you, it is a great soundtrack, and I was like, okay. I don't know how you guys did it, but I used Spotify, so that was the.
yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
did.
All right, so I'm gonna toss one out there that's kind of
Okay.
off the beaten path that wasn't on any of the albums. And it brings me great joy because it's in Airheads. Feed the Gods.
I don't feel like that one's on my list.
I would just make that number one because it was in Airheads. I don't have it, but
yeah, I'd put it through. I had an open slot in between, like.
Hey, I'm going to put it in the combo.
At least keep it in the conversation. Yeah.
I just, all I can think of is, yeah, no. Like, I've lost count of how many times that song has been.
I was figuring that was a Rob Zombie thing, so I probably would have overlooked it for that.
Initially, I thought so too, but then, like, I was taking a walk while I was listening to the White Zombie records, and I was like, I couldn't remember if it was Ace Ventura or if it was Airheads. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to look up these songs, and it turns out that it was Feed the Gods, and it was Airheads. And I was like, oh, my God, I need to listen to, like, the actual version of this. And I did, and I was like, oh, my God, it's awesome. And we actually got that one from a listener. So, all right, Andy?
All right, so let's see. My next one would be Gun Crazy.
Oh, dude.
I've got it.
All right, good. Because I actually really like that. That's one of the few like that I really liked from the early albums. All right, Tim?
God of Thunder. I mean, not the greatest cover, but it's a good place to start.
I don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it.
That's fine.
that's how I feel.
I'm not going to lose it. You know what I mean? It's just not.
So
yeah,
we are officially out of New Trash Protocol. 1, 2, 3, 4 unanimously in, 6 in the conversation. So we don't have to worry about New Trash Protocol.
Okay.
All right. Let me toss this one out there. iZombie.
I got that.
Hey.
I don't. Yeah, it was close. It was like, and it probably. If I would have listened through one more time, it might have made it in, but it didn't. That's
the one thing about like an artist that you're getting for the first time. I always feel like I could use that just one last listen. All right, Andy?
All right, so let's see. We did Welcome to the Planet. So then next on my list is Cosmic Monsters Incorporated.
Oh, my God. No.
Don't have it.
No.
Wow.
Tim?
Okay.
Well, Love Razor.
Not
my favorite, but
nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Another early one.
All right. Man, I've got a lot of Astro Creep.
Yeah, that's. I was like, well, I'll just let it go that way, see what happens. I figured we'd all be kind of doing the same.
You never know, right? Real Solution number 9.
No, that one was close too.
That's all right.
I think that was a pretty good one, but it was not on the list.
Got to lose somewhere. All right,
yeah.
Andy?
All right, so then last I said with Cosmic Monsters, and I Am Legend is the next one.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know why I left that off, but it wasn't bad. I don't think it was.
It was different, and I mean, initially that's what pulled it through for me. Like I initially pulled it through, and then like as I was framing up the band with after that first cut, I was like, it might be a little too different. Tim.
One more cover, Children of the Grave.
Let's see.
Oh man, I might have to listen to that one.
No, I don't have it.
Just for my own. I didn't dip into the covers at all.
If you're going to talk about this band, at least as this now, the reason I took it was, it's obviously Sabbath and obviously Kiss are two, they just two acts that seem to like inform this band in ways. I mean, I've only seen them once live. I always wanted to see Rob Zombie, White Zombie, and then I finally got a chance to see him live, and it pretty much was what you would get if you had Black Sabbath and Kiss had a baby and they watched a lot of monster movies.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah. Plus it was like, well, I had to be biased with God of Thunder and everything. Like, Well, my band is currently covering that, so I'd be comparing it to myself. And
Oh, I see.
it's too biased.
I'm certain you do a much superior version of it.
I'll have to find out, but yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to think so.
All right.
Hey, let me bounce this one out there. Blur the Technicolor.
I have that.
Yeah.
Wait, was that a yeah from both of you?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I don't.
Oh,
it's a yeah from me.
okay. All right, Andy.
Yeah. Okay. Then the sequel, Electric Head Part 2, The Ecstasy.
No, I don't have it. Nope.
Which was probably the better of those two, I think, if I remember right. But yeah.
I don't have that one. All right,
Okay.
Tim.
Il Fantasmo and the Chicken Run.
Yes, I do have that one.
I do not, but it's in the combo. All right, let me come back.
I think I have the remix of that one. Was the selling point or something?
How about Scum Kill?
No.
Always love that silence of no, you're wrong.
No.
All right, Andy.
Blood, Milk, and Sky is my last one.
Oh, I don't have that one. Tim.
Demon Speed. I think that's my last one.
Wow, how do I still have like 7 or 8? Something's going on there.
Well, there's not much here. I mean,
Yeah,
that's one
fine.
of the problems.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna run down the other ones that made my list, and then we'll trim it down to our 10.
Okay.
True Crime. By the way, Blood, Milk, and Sky was the only other song that had more than one person put it up there. So, as from the listeners. All right, so I had True Crime. Oops, pushed the wrong button. True Crime, Thrust, Warp Asylum, Creature of the Wheel, The Sidewalk Ends Where the Bug Parade Begins, and Grease Paint, and Monkey Brains. All right, so the 4 unanimously in: Thunderkiss 65, More Human Than Human, Supercharger Heaven, Disaster Blaster. We need to get 6 out of these 8 songs. Welcome to Planet Motherfucker, Spider Baby, Grindhouse, Godslayer, Gun Crazy, Blur the Technicolor, El Phantasmo and the Chicken Run, and iZombie and Feed the Gods. At this point, I feel like Gun Crazy has to go in just because it's the only super early representation we have.
All right.
I mean,
That was a good one.
I mean, I liked it,
So.
yeah. So I think you guys had it. I'm not going to stand in the way of that one.
Okay.
So we need to get 5 out of these other ones. Now, the rest of this is all pretty equal representation, other than we already have 2 from Astro Creep. So I don't know. We definitely don't want all 3. So let's lose one of these from Astro Creep. Blur the Technicolor, iZombie, or El Phantasmo in the Chicken Run Blastorama. Which one's the weak link there?
I feel like iZombie was my opinion, but
I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't really matter to me that much. I mean, I think anything. I remember really liking Yell Phantasmo and the Chicken Run Blaster, but it's hard for me to get really, there's part of me that just says here, just take Astro Creep and Sexorcisto, and
yeah,
I mean that's
have
a shit thing to do.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like I don't know, iZombie. I think we could get rid of that, but this sounds really shitty, but it's got the word zombie in it.
I know, right? That's at least part of the reason why I brought it through. All right, let's see. Maybe we pull, because we have 3 here from Sexorcisto. So if we pull one of these, Grindhouse, Spider Baby, or Planet Motherfucker. Planet Motherfucker has the advantage of that being one of the ones that listeners put up.
Yeah, no, I think tie goes to the listener. How's that?
Yeah. Let's put that one through. You know what? We discussed it already. Let's put Feed the Gods through.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that puts us at 7. All right, so we need to lose 2 of these. Spider Baby, Grindhouse, Godslayer, Blur the Technicolor, and Phantasmo.
But it wasn't Godslayer. That was an older one.
Yeah, it's off of Make Them Die Slowly, which is the same record that Disaster Blaster is on. However, that would only be 2 if we put Godslayer through as well. So, I mean,
only be 2 older ones, right?
Right. We'd have Gun Crazy would be like the oldest one we have, and then Disaster Blaster and Godslayer would be from the same record, but we would be showing growth.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to show growth. I mean, who knows? Somebody might want the earlier stuff.
Yeah, you never know. It just because it didn't strike us. All right, so here's my thoughts. We've got it up to 8. We're gonna take 1 from each of these records. So it's Spider Baby versus Grindhouse. I mean, at this point, I almost feel like Grindhouse is in the lead, even though I had them both.
Yeah.
And then
I had
Spider
Baby. Which one did I? Hold on. I got to look at my list and see which one I had. Spider Baby was the one that I had. So, but yeah, I mean, either way, it's awesome.
I feel like again, maybe this may be a lame reason, but the name of the song is Grindhouse, and
it also has a go-go in it too. So
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm leaning that way, unless there's any absolute opposition to that.
No. I mean, you're not going to get much of a pushback from me on any of these. I mean, if we had opened it up to Rob Zombie, I'd been like, well, where's Super Beast and where's Dragula?
Yeah.
But since it's not Rob Zombie,
we deal with what we got.
That's right.
There will be a Rob Zombie episode. So that leaves us for the final one: Blur the Technicolor versus El Phantasmo.
God, I mean, honestly, I just like saying El Phantasmo in the Chicken Run. I mean, in the Chicken Run Blast, it's fun to say.
It just feels right. Hold on, let me
I know these are really crappy reasons, listeners. We know this.
We know.
But, I mean, El Phantasmo made it on. I think that was one because I went with the remix.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, exactly. You could get all the stuff off of the, was it Super 60 Swinging Sounds?
Yeah.
They're all really great, and we could just go and do nothing but Astro Creep.
Yeah.
It's a great record.
It really is.
What you can only play like little blurbs of White Zombie? Is that all I'm hearing back there? Or what,
yeah,
I
played a little bit of El Phantasmo just because, to be honest, I really could have pulled all of Astro Creep. I had no reason to not have El Phantasmo other than, man, I think I had like 8 songs from that record. So it's like, okay,
yeah,
I better chill out. All right, so I think this is our 10, and I think we got the big ones. And if for some reason nobody knew that these were White Zombie, then hey, we're opening up their eyes. We got Thunderkiss 65, More Human Than Human, Supercharger Heaven. Let me move Disaster Blaster up because it was unanimous. Disaster Blaster, El Phantasmo and the Chicken Run Blastorama, Godslayer, Grindhouse A Go-Go, Welcome to Planet Motherfucker, Gun Crazy, and Feed the Gods. Again, I it shows the growth of the band from where they started to where they ended up. It's got their sound, like it's very heavy on what their sound is. So I don't know, man. I feel like, considering we aren't very spirited about the band, I think we came up with a pretty good list.
Well, it's weird. It's weird for me because I feel like I agree with everything you've just said, but it's just very strange that to actually have this unanimous, because I was like, when I started listening to the early stuff, to me it just didn't hit, and it makes me wonder what happens like when a band like this really pops on a major label, like who A&R wise took them to the side and said, hey, this stuff, you ought to be doing more of this stuff, because the differences are monumental.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. They went from a band that, like, again, I didn't dislike, but like it was, I don't even want to say it was work. It was kind of in my ears. That's it. You know, there was nothing that was grabbing me. It was fine, but you know, it wasn't White Zombie, you know. And then like you hit Sexorcisto, and it's like suddenly I'm having a good time. I'm really enjoying listening it, and it's like, oh, it's over already? What a bummer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I certainly want to open up and take a look at this and go, okay, what was it? You know, obviously I could have done more homework and said, you know, who was the producer and who's engineering this, and I probably should, but you know, it does open up that discussion in a way that I was kind of surprised to have that happen. I thought, you know, you don't see delineations like that very often, where a band just goes, okay, boom, we're going to sound completely different now. Yeah.
But, you know, and that, good gracious, did it work in their favor though? I mean, so much so that I don't know the full story of why the band broke up, but judging by Rob continuing, I would have to assume that has something to do with it.
I mean, Andrew, do you know?
No, I have no idea.
So, I mean,
wish I did. You know, like you know, wealth of knowledge on some bands, not so much this one.
What's funny is I mentioned that we weren't very spirited about this band,
yeah,
but I still feel like we did them justice. I don't think we crapped all over them. I want to stress this: there's nothing wrong with the earlier records. It's just if I was trying to get somebody new, I wouldn't point them there first. Like, the fun stuff is those last two records. That's where you want to start.
Yeah.
That's where you want to go. That's what you want to listen to first, and then go back and see if you enjoy the rest of it.
Yeah, I agree. You want the big hooks. You want the drum. And this is part of the key. Like this, one of the secrets of most. It's not even a secret of rock. It's like a good drum, a good rhythm section saves everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they were just there in those first records. They were just there. Like, again, nothing wrong, nothing bad, just there, just flat.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, night and day almost. So I don't want to keep belaboring the point, but I'm going to run down these 10, and then we're going to figure out which one is our number one with a bullet. So the 10 again: Thunderkiss 65, More Human Than Human, Supercharger Heaven, Disaster Blaster, El Phantasmo and the Chicken Run Blastorama, God Slayer. Oh, come on, scroll down. Scroll. Grindhouse A Go-Go, Welcome to Planet Motherfucker, Gun Crazy, and Feed the Gods. I'm going to go to you, Tim. Which song do you think is our number one with a bullet?
Well, geez. I mean, I'm always going to go with More Human Than Human. I mean, I just think I could sing that hook all day long. It's what I like.
Guitar riff.
Oh God, yeah. It's so big, and But part of me also says we should game this and pick one just to piss off Alfredo.
I'm trying to think what would though. Like, I don't know if we can with this band unless we literally pick one of the early ones just for that.
Right.
But knowing him, like, dudes, we're going with White Zombie anyways, dudes.
That's the one that I haven't listened to the podcast, and now that you've told me that that's going to be on, I will definitely be giving you my $1 for that.
Hey, well, thank you.
Yeah, I miss him. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with More Human Than Human, but maybe you can find maybe you can sneak one of the ones in there just to piss him off, and then switch it back out.
What do you think, Andy? You with More Human Than Human?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, you know, again, the first reason I ever bought a slide for playing guitar was to play that riff. So
that is a great riff.
Yeah.
Now, in fact, what's funny is when you said that slide, I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, there we are. We have our 10, and very agreeable, if nothing else. All right. Well, hey, we did it. We got our 10, and in record time, even. Like, this is right up there with Bruno Mars. So, Bruno Mars only had 3 albums, so it was a pretty easy discussion. That being said, Tim, you're on for Rob Zombie. Who knows when that'll happen, but I would say in the next couple months. So we'll be in touch. And Andy, you're on for Fozzie, hopefully before the end of the year. So we'll be back to talk about that as soon as it's time. But hey, we'll talk about Fozzie. We'll talk about Patreon right now. Patreon.com/Oh Hi Justin. $1 American a month gets you anything that I do, essentially. So if I record into this microphone anything, the These Ghouls demos, which is my, I hesitate to call it a band because right now it's just me and an acoustic guitar, but that's where they go first. They go to the Patreon. The Oh Hi Justin podcast, which is me and a microphone, just talking my brains off for a couple minutes a day. As a matter of fact, that will no longer be going to the public. That's going to just go to Patreon listeners starting next week.
Nice.
So become a patron and you get the Oh Hi Justin. I think I may still put out like a weekly version of it, but the daily one is just for patrons. You get the Deprogram podcast 3 days before the rest of the world. You get the WrestlePals podcast right to your inbox, and there's a new project coming with me and Jenny. There's so much stuff. I can't list it all, folks. I don't know what you guys think I am. I don't have it all right here, but rest assured, as I come up with more stuff, the Patreon is where it's going to be. Patreon.com/Oh Hi Justin.
So this is Jenny Zell that's doing this, right? Jenny Z?
Yes. Her and I have a new podcast project coming up. We're still sketchy on the details because we've taken too long to actually get to production. So we wanted to launch early January, and it looks like we're going to miss our launch. So that's why we haven't put forth the details yet. So we had a meeting about that yesterday, and we're getting together for a writing session today. So it is going to be a written podcast. Ooh, yeah.
That'll be interesting. I think she's funny.
She's hilarious, and this setting that we've given ourselves is no different. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a really fun, good time. So with that being said, White Zombie, learn them and love them, people. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.